Hey guys, how you doing? Hope everyone is having a wonderful Sunday. So tomorrow we will start another run of the Linux Upskill challenge. This is going to be the May run. I would like to do the day 0 today. Show everything you need to have to start the challenge. Hey Paul, how you doing? Hey Scarix, Mind Tricks. Nice, you guys being here. Let's go. So I'll try to get as many VPSs as I can today. I will start with VirtualBox and doing something local, because not everyone has the opportunity or the budget to um, sign up to a VPS, a cloud provider, or anything. So I'm going to do VirtualBox first, and after that, we are going to AWS, DigitalOcean, Azure, Linode, Google Cloud, Vultr, and Oracle Cloud. I'm going to do all of them today. If you guys have any other suggestions of VPSs to try, let me know. We can try that after we finish this first run. These are 2, 4, 6, 7 VPSs. There's already a lot. So if you guys have any other suggestions, I'm open to it. We can try that later. Okay. So I hope you have let me just double check everything is running good. Okay, then we can start. So let's start with creating a Linux virtual server here locally using VirtualBox. If you want, you can try WSL in Windows. There's no problem. I'm not going to cover that, okay? I'll have to to open up a new Windows lab to do that. So that's going to be for next run. But if you already have WSL, it's okay. If you don't have, or you're on a Mac, you can try VirtualBox, because VirtualBox is it's a good way to virtualize your new server that runs on Windows, Linux, and Mac OS. So it's going to be the same way for any of these other OSs. So you can have your Ubuntu server ready to go. Okay, I already have that installed here. And before we start, the first thing that you have to think when you're going to, I'm going to install a new Linux server here. Which version should I pick? I mean, we're using Ubuntu server for the challenge. And we're using Ubuntu for various reasons, but we're not going to use CentOS or Fedora or anything like that by now. Let's try to stick with Ubuntu. Or if you want to try anything that is Debian based, is going to be pretty similar. Okay, because we're going to use apt as package manager and all of that goodie that came with Ubuntu and other Debian based servers, right? But we have a couple of different versions of the same OS. You can see that here on the official page for Ubuntu, We have desktop, we have server, we have IoT. We're going with server. Why we're going with server? Because we don't need any desktop manager or desktop environment. We don't need any graphics. We only need the actual system running, black screen, just terminal. That's what we're going to do. Okay, so we're going with server. You can download the latest LTS, that is the long-term support. There is already newer versions. There's 22.10 that is not a LTS. I'm not going with anything that is not an LTS so far because we want something that is stable. Okay, we're going to install packages. We're going to try a few different things in security. So let's keep doing this with LTS. Okay. Thanks, Anuj. And now, I already have that downloaded. Okay, so I don't waste anybody's time. And we're going to have that ISO here ready to go on our VirtualBox. Okay, so I'm going to do from scratch. You can just right click and create a new machine, or you can just go for new up here. And we want our Ubuntu server. Okay, we have we don't need to select anything right now. I just this first step of the virtual machine setup is just to say what exactly is our pseudo hardware. Okay, what we want to be at the base for the system to be installed on. So next, here we have 2 gigs of memory and 1 vCPU by standard. You can keep it that. The minimal amount to run Ubuntu server is 1 gig of memory and 1 vCPU. If you want to keep it 2 gig, it's fine. If you have that available, it's fine. It's not going to make that much of a difference. If you have more resources, please go for it. It's not a problem. But you have to take in account what is the minimal amount that you need for to run Ubuntu. Okay. So if we look at the let me see if it is here, the documentation. We have some installation guides. Is going to give us the instructions and the minimal requirements right here. You see, you should have at least 2 gigs of free storage space. This is disk. Access to a DVD, USB flash drive. This is this point is kind of assuming that we're doing this on actual hardware, and all the steps I'm going to take here in VirtualBox is going to apply to an actual hardware. So if you have an old laptop or an old desktop lying around that you want to convert that into a server, this is going to the installation is going to work the same. Okay, the only thing that you have to take into account is how to first create a USB flash drive. There's going to be a bootable drive to install the ISO, but after that it's all good. Okay, it's going to be exactly the same. Okay, what else? Let's get back here to our VirtualBox. So we have 2 gig and 1 CPU. The drive, I don't need much more than you saw that you need at least 1 gig or at least 2.5 gigs of disk to have that run. I'm going to put 5 because it's a good number and I have enough space for that, so it's going to work just fine. And that's pretty much it, the first part. Okay, this is my Ubuntu server. Yeah, and now we can go to the settings. You see that I have a lot of other other virtual machines here for other tests. I've been doing this for a while. Okay, so I have my Ubuntu server. I'm going with storage first. You see that we don't have anything besides the actual hard disk for the virtual machine. And I'm going to add an optical disk on an optical drive. What is this? I'm going to say check this casual disk here that I just created, the ISO, so you can boot something else. I'm going to click here, and I already have attached. Do I have attached? Yes, I do have. Ubuntu 22.04. I could just search and add here and search inside my directories to put it here, but I just have that. I'm going to select. So I have here Ubuntu 22.04 live server, and I have a disk where I'm going to install that ISO. Okay. Second thing that is important, the network is going to put net by default, but I wanted to use my actual lab as a gateway or a bridge to the outside world. Because I'm going to download packets from the internet, I need my VM to have access to the internet somehow. So I'm going to add the bridge adapter. That is actually my lab, my laptop is going to be the bridge. So I have access to the internet. I'm going to share that access with my VM. So that's why I am attaching a bridge adapter. And that's it. It's done. So I can start. And come on, you can do better than that. Let's give some screen. So try install Ubuntu server. That's what we want. From here out, we're going to use only the keyboard. So we don't need to use the mouse for this. We're going to do everything on the keyboard. The boot is already running, and we're going to receive the first splash screen with the information that we're going to set up for our new server. And the entire install, I'm going to do something that is going to be quite fast. We're not going to install anything that is flourishing for the server, so it's going to take up to no more than 5 to 10 minutes. So let's see. Is this right? Am I using a different Ubuntu server? I have so many. Yeah, no, it's right. Yes. Now we're good. So first screen. What is the language? You can use your arrow keys for going up and down the list. When you're okay with the selection that we're doing, just use enter and you go to the next page. You're gonna see that whenever we are selecting something, it's going to be turning green. So I'm just moving here my arrow keys. And if I want to go back, it's going to have the back here at the least one. So continue without updating. It's telling us that there is a new installer available, but I want to use the old one. So continue. Keyboard configuration. My keyboard is in English, so done. Here's the important part that is going to short our time with this installation. Okay, it's going to um, um, we're not going to waste that much time installing things that are not really important to us. So instead of using Ubuntu server here, that is the default installation with a bunch of packets that I particularly I think they're a little bit bloated. Okay, we don't need all of that for a server. We're going with Ubuntu server minimized, and here you can use just this space key to select. You see that the X just changed. So I'm going to with the minimized version that have only the small amount of what is actually required to run a server. If we need more packets, we can install more packets later. There's no problem. But since we're not getting everything that is available on the first install, this is going to be a lot quicker. So I scroll down to done. And here's the part of the network connections. It already took for DHCP a new IP address. This is from my home network. So it's IP inside my actual lab. So I don't have to change anything. I'm using the bridge adapter, so I know that I'm going to have access to the internet after this is done. So done. Proxy access. If I need to put a proxy to connect to the internet, I have to put that here. I don't need here in my actual lab, so I'm not going to put anything. Done. The archive mirror. This is where I'm going to pull new packets or anything that I need from Ubuntu, from the internet, to install in my actual setup. I'm going to keep this the default mirror. We don't need to change anything in here, unless you have really specific a really specific mirror that you want to pull from. You don't need to change anything in that particular mirror address. Okay, so done. Configure the guided storage layout. This is supposed to be a simple install, so I'm not going to bloat it out with partitioning or anything like that. We didn't even create a disk that large, so we're going to use the entire disk. We don't need to change anything on the layout. So it's done. It's going to show me exactly how it do with the default. So do not have to change anything here. Again, you see that I have the actual size that I need for the boot. I have a couple partitions there. So it's done. Are you sure you want to continue? Yes, I am sure. Continue. This is the part when you are going to use your name. You can give a name to your server. So this guy is going to, I'm going to just call it Ubuntu, and that's it. My username, I can choose a password. Confirm that. This user is going to be an administrator for your server. Okay. So don't forget that that password, all right? Because this is the actual administrator for your server. Done. Do you want to upgrade to Ubuntu Pro? No, I don't. This is something that Canonical do. This is a server that they provide. So if you want to go with that, no problem, but we don't need it. Okay, SSH setup. I mean, it's not required, but it's nice to have. Okay, why we need a open SSH server here? Because we will have access to the actual server using the terminal from VirtualBox, and that's okay. But it's nice that you already know how to use SSH to access your instance. So install OpenSSH because we are going to use the same principles to the VPSs, the servers that we're going to be creating in the cloud. And in the real world, you're almost never gonna have the terminal or the console connection to a server. You're going to access everything remotely. So this is a good skill to acquire at this moment. So put SSH server here. Done. A lot of packets we don't need. Scroll down to done, and we're stalling. Now we're stalling. And this is going to take a few minutes. And one of the nicest things here is that it's telling me what it's doing. So it's installing the kernel now. This is the most critical part of the installation. And this is where you relax a little bit. Okay, it's running, it's running. Going. So there's a few things that are going to be configured in this first moment of the installation, okay? But I mean, if you're not understanding what's going on here, that's no problem, okay? One thing that I like about installing servers in particular is that you don't have to have that splash screen of installation is in progress or anything like that, because that kind of throw me off a little bit. I want to see what's going on. And don't worry, this is not supposed to take that much longer. Okay, you see that we're already finalizing a few things. And there's a new thing that we're seeing here. Let me just take. We have view the full log and cancel, update, and reboot. We're going with that because we can update later. Okay, this is no problem. Let's go directly to finishing up. Yes, Carex, I also like to keep things I don't know, it relaxes me. I found that comforting. So we don't need to go with the update right now. We can do that later. So you see that we're using a minimized version of the Ubuntu server. It's going to take less than 10 minutes. Yeah, you can see when the errors are occurring. Catch any exceptions, anything that goes wrong as it goes wrong. I mean, this is a good way to spend my Sunday because it's not going to take that long. You can do, I mean, if you are, and I'm going to give this tip for the people that already have some familiarity with Linux and just heard about the challenge. If you're really familiar with Linux, you can do the whole challenge in one Sunday. I mean, just a few hours, you can get through all of it. It's that simple. It is not required that you do that in just one run, because we do have 20 lessons, and you can always go to the extensions and a few other resources that we put for each lesson and get a little bit deeper. So nice. Ah, how nice, Wildo. You learn to use auto install and cloud configs. Yeah, that's a good tool. Yeah, it's going there. It's going there. We just cancel a few uh, updates beforehand because we don't really need to do that now. It's finishing. Yeah, it's finishing. Okay, it's rebooting now. So we're starting our new server. Hmm? Okay, we're done. Oh yes, a few more modules. Uh-huh. Eh. Yeah, just got a little too excited. Okay, now we're done. Let's use our username and password. And here we go. We got our server running. But one thing that I wanted to show you guys before we did that, before I start using the server, is that you can see that this console screen is not really that friendly. I mean, you can, there's the commands here for VirtualBox to you to copy or paste things from outside the console and all that. I don't like it that much. Okay, there's easier ways to manage this. So that's why I recommend that we use the SSH server inside. We have that SSH server feature installed at the beginning. So we can access our server using an SSH connection. Even if it's just inside, locally inside our lab, we can do that. Okay, so the first thing that we need to learn about it is the IP address that we receive it. You remember that it pulled IP address from the HCP here from my home network. So we have 192.168.3.82. That is the IP address that it pulled from the home network. So we're going to use that. Let me get here my terminal. This is on a Mac, but I'm just going to show you guys how to do that on Windows in a minute, okay? I'm going to use SSH and Livia at 192.168. What was the head? 168.382. Okay. 382. Okay. And I have to give password for Livia. And we inside the same server. So now we can start actually upgrading and doing all that. So I'm going to use sudo apt update double ampersand, or you can just use semicolon. It's going to work kind of the same way, not exactly the same way, okay? And sudo apt upgrade -y. Password for Livia. And now we're doing the first round of upgrades because this was downloaded from the official website for Ubuntu. It's not the really newest version. The newest version is 22.10. And even for the 22.04, we're gonna have some new features that could be available by now. So we're going to update everything before we start to use the server. And this sequence of getting the server installed or getting the server set up, and then before we're doing anything else, just upgrade, we're going to do that for all of our instances, okay? This is standard operations. You have to have your system up to date before you start to really messing with it. Not anytime, okay, Scarex. You can use for this particular case. I can use that because I'm just I'm just confident that the first command is not going to fail. But if I want to be sure that I can only run the second command after the first command run successfully, I should use double ampersand. Because to run apt upgrade, you need your repositories to be up to date, so you need to run apt update first. So the double ampersand is a better way to do this. Thanks for the question. And this is going to take just 1 or 2 minutes. We're probably gonna have some updates to the kernel or not. No, running kernel seems to be up to date. Do we want to restart any services? No, I do not. We're not going to restart any services, and we have that is up to date. Our server is good to start using. And this was a local one. Okay. Nothing fancy. It was quite quick, right? It was what, 10 minutes? Not even that. It was 10 minutes because I talked too much. But yeah, it was pretty quick. So that's the first one. Local server using VirtualBox. If you are thinking of just doing this locally, is going to be it's going to be good for the challenge. No problem. The only thing you're not going to have using a local server for the challenge is you're not going to have external access, which means you're not going to see things that we usually see when we have a server in production that not only you is going to be accessing that server. Okay, you gonna have multiple people trying to access, or some of these people are going to have access, a legit access, and a lot of people are not going to have a legit access. So you're going to have to, during the challenge, we kind of learn how to deal with unrequired or unsolicited access. It's not going to really be a security problem because we already have some fail safes in place. But you're gonna see how it really works on a production. Okay, that's why this is the main difference. But to learn the commands and the actual structure for Linux, a local server is just fine. Okay, so no problems here. Okay. So I'm going to, oh yes, I just forgot one thing. All right, I don't want to keep this running anymore. I'm going to close my lab. So how do I shut this off? I could be just not that of a good person and shutting off directly here. I could just stop it directly on the VirtualBox, but come on, you can use a shutdown now. Oh yes, because I have to be using my administrator powers to do that. So sudo shutdown now. And what shutdown now and not just shutdown? Because shutdown is going to give you some time, and I want it to be immediate. Boom. Shut down. Power it off. Done. Okay? Just remember, because we have this as taking the IP address from our local network, from the HCP, we did not hard-coded an IP address. You're probably gonna have to check the IP address when we run the server again. It's possible that it's not going to take the same IP address it take the first time. Okay, so use IP address to get that first that little screen that we see the IP address, and just change when you use the SSH. Okay, so we can quit VirtualBox for now. And now we're going to, I'm going to do some things in Windows. I'm not going to do a local because we already did a local, but I'm going to do the first two AWS and DigitalOcean here on Windows. Okay. So, you guys okay so far? All good, right? Nice. Thank you, thank you. So for AWS, I'm not going to show the part where you create your account. That is kind of boring. And you also have to input your credit card information to start your account. But after you finish that little setup, you're going to be seeing this console home. Okay, this dashboard that you have all kinds of products that AWS provides. And so you're going to be seeing this dashboard, okay, after you created your account. So we want to create a new instance, and AWS calls compute instances EC2. So you can just go here on EC2, you can go here on services and compute and EC2, or you can just search for EC2. Okay, several ways to get to the same thing. All right, so it's going to show you this kind of dashboard. Again, this is April, May 2023. If you're seeing this in the future and your dashboard doesn't look like that, I'm not surprised, because AWS is, they love to change the dashboard and things kind of not have the same appearance every time, but the idea is always the same. Okay, you're going to have a way to get to the instance, and we're going to set up using the details that we need. Okay, so you can launch an instance here, or you can go here on the menu and go to instances. We don't have any instances yet. This is a way to see if you have any instances. And I can launch an instance here, or again using that little button. Okay, let's launch an instance. Let's create, give it a name. This is not mandatory. Okay, you don't need to put a name for it. This is just a tag. It's something that you use to, so you can understand which server is this. So this is my Ubuntu, I don't know, 2204 or just Ubuntu LTS, whatever. It doesn't matter. I can I can put potato here. It's not going to make any difference. Okay, it's just for me. So I'm going to choose Ubuntu here. You see that there's a quick start. They already know which are the top top OSs that people look for. But you can search here as well. Okay, it's going to get you to a different screen, but really you don't need to do that. Okay. Ooh, cancel. I'm going to use the quick start. I want Ubuntu, and from the many versions of Ubuntu that I have available, I'm going to use 2204 LTS. You see that it's free tier eligible. For AWS in specific, they have the free tier subscription that when you create your account for the first time, you receive a year of free tier. You can experiment with a lot of different products that AWS provides for free. You still need to get your credit card information though. but you have a lot of things that can be done free here. Okay, so for now, just pick anything that is free tier eligible, and okay, free tier eligible. We don't have to change anything else here. The instance type. This is the you remember the first part of the VirtualBox that we define how much memory, how much CPU, how much disk. This is the instance type. So you see that we are going with also the free tier eligible T2 micro. There is one CPU, 1 gig of memory, and this is new. This doesn't have before. How much does it cost per hour of Linux or SUSE or Windows or Red Hat? So this is quite nice. So you have an idea how much things cost inside AWS. Okay, free tier eligible T2 micro. We don't have to go anything beyond that. It's going to be enough. Key pair. This key pair, and I'm going to get this information here. The key pair is the SSH key pair that we're going to use for accessing this instance using SSH. What we did on the first instance, on the first VM, we didn't have we didn't create a key pair for our SSH connection. We just used the password for the user inside that server. So we didn't have to do that. Right? But here, AWS doesn't do anything less secure than using a key pair. They don't let you using the password to access your server, just the password. Okay, so you have to create a key pair. If you have one already, good, is going to be available here, but you just created your account, you have nothing, so let's create a new key pair. This is important. We can just AWS key, and the type of key is going to be RSA. You see that we have some restrictions for other types. I can use this ED25519, but it's not supported for Windows instances. But this is if the target instance, the one that I'm creating, is a Windows instance. That's not the case. We are using Linux, so both would work. But I'm going to keep with RSA, okay? This is pretty standard. And here, the private key format. This is important because we can just create a .pem that can be used with OpenSSH. That is the way that we would use in macOS or another Linux instance. Or we can use PPK that's going to be used by PuTTY. I can do... Let me see how we can do this. We can just download directly a PPK. Pardon me. We can just download directly a PPK to using PuTTY because we are already here on a Windows desktop. Or we can, I don't know, I just downloaded a .pem and this is not going to really work. Let's say you didn't know about PuTTY before and just downloaded PEM, okay? We're going to do that. So let's create a key pair. And I'm going to download that automatically, okay? If you don't download automatically, it's going to say, please save this. Yeah, so we're going to save this. We need the private key to be available here. Okay. For the network settings, you can leave just SSH traffic from anywhere. But if you're going to use this for this challenge, and I believe you will, just leave the HTTP traffic also already open. Okay, because in day 7, we're going to create our web server, and we will need access to the HTTP port in this instance. Okay, so we can leave both already here, but anywhere is too open. Isn't that dangerous? It is, but it is for we want to see that. Okay, we can block a lot of attempts already here, but I don't want to do that yet. We're going to use that as a lab experiment. Okay, so leave SSH traffic and HTTP traffic. Configure storage. We don't need to do anything different. It's okay this. And you cannot really take less than 8 gigs because for AWS policies for snapshots and all that, they kind of need it. So just leave the default, okay? Don't change it. Nothing on the additional details, and we can just launch the instance. Okay, so we're launching. We can just click here. It's going directly to see my instance in the little list. You see the name is potato. And clicking that, I have the full information, the full summary. It's still pending, but if I just click here on the refresh, it's running. It's pretty quick. I mean, it's not going to take too long to spin up that. And now to connect. There are a few ways. Okay, let's see if we can use that. Let me show you what you cannot use. It's going to be a lot of trouble or a lot of work. The EC2 serial console, you have to do a lot of more things to have that available, so it's a no. Session manager is also kind of a pain to set up. It requires a lot more configuration to be available, so no. EC2 instance connect. Let me see if we can use that. Yeah. EC2 Instance Connect is kind of a terminal like the console that we have for VirtualBox, but in a browser window. So you are already in. Kind of oh, okay. If I don't know how to use SSH, I don't want to go to the SSH. Okay, you have an option here. You can use the Instance Connect. It's not going to be available for every region, as far as I know. You have to check if you didn't receive a screen like that saying okay, you're okay to connect, is because you have some kind of impediment. This is not available in your region, or the kind of instance you pick does not really have that option for you. But if I have it here, you're probably gonna have it too. And the one that we're going to use a lot, that is SSH client. And we do have a list of instructions. They are very clear. Open a SSH client. I don't have an SSH client. So we're going to pick one. And the SSH client that is very particular and very popular for Windows is PuTTY. And I mean, is the first link. It really doesn't take that much. Okay, you have I'm going with an installer. No, I want just an exe. So PuTTY exe, 64 bits. I just downloaded. I see it. It's here. Done. You have PuTTY. It's that simple. Come on. But I got it. Something just got stuck. Okay, locate your private key. Let's locate our private key, and we're going. This is the point that is not going to really work, and I did that on purpose. Because first thing, I have to put my private key here on session. We're going to connection, SSH, authorization on just auth, and then credentials. And I want my private key for authentication is going to be in downloads. Come on. Is in downloads? Or is it? This PC. Just this PC. Yeah. Downloads. Okay, where did I put it? Let's put this downloads. Yeah. Ah, okay, I'm writing downloads. I know. All files. It's here, but it's already giving some indication that something is wrong. And I'm getting back to session, and I'm going to use the IP address that I used here. This is the public IP address that I'm going to use to connect. Port is 22. And here's the part that I didn't take too much, didn't pay attention to the key format when I created my key. This is the problem. The server is in print. You have no guarantee. Okay, I'm going to accept. And it's going to give me that the private key is an old pen format. Is unable to use that key. So even if we try to connect, it's going to give us an authentication failure. It's not going to go well. But I already created my key. Do I have to create a new one? How do I change that? Yeah, AWS is kind of not that great for it. You cannot really put other. You actually can, but it's a little bit more work. But we can convert that. We can actually convert that key format to PPK. That is something that PuTTY understands. So we're going to use PuTTygen. You see PuTTygen here. I'm going to download that. PuTTygen. So we're going to load our private key. Have to change it. This is in downloads. That is AWS key. We imported that. We can put a passphrase or not. It's not going to make a difference here. And we're going to save a new private key. Yeah. And it's going to save as ppk. So we're going to use AWS key. Now it's ppk. And yes, we can also use MOBA Xterm. I found MOBA a lot more. It's prettier. I mean, you can use more than just SSH there as well. Okay, so let's try PuTTY again. SSH of credentials, browse AWS ppk. No open. Session. Let's put all. Oh no. Copy things that didn't to copy. My IP address. Get back here. Open. Ubuntu. And we're done. So we're in. We can also change the appearances here. How I don't like that window in this way. Change settings. I'm going to change the window appearance because I cannot really read. I need something bigger. And now we're here. You see, you can save some time and already download the key format as ppk if you're going to use PuTTY or anything on Windows. But if you forget for any reason, there's still an option to convert that to a format that you can use in PuTTY. Okay, so now we're inside our server. So sudo apt update $% sudo apt upgrade -y. And here we go. Same thing. You see that we didn't have after the setup of the instance, everything else is all just the same. Now you see that it does see that it needs a kernel update. Well, kernel is the main thing that you need to be aware for upgrades. Okay, so that's why it's so big and pink and colorful, because this is important. Okay, so we give it an okay. We don't need to restart any services, but we will need to reboot this instance. You are a streamer on Twitch for Linux. I kind of became one, I guess. I'm also on Twitch. I basically more on Twitch and Discord. This is the first live on YouTube now. But I'm going to put more of the lives here on YouTube to keep the record, because Twitch is not really that good to keep for a long time. And now if I want to just I'm going to reboot And I'm going to use the same idea. We use a shutdown and shutdown now. Here we can use reboot now. If I just use sudo reboot, is going to give a few seconds or a few minutes to reboot. I want something immediately. So reboot now. It's going to close my session. And that's okay. We can, after the reboot is done, we can just restart the session. And one thing that is interesting to note is that it's not done yet. Is that the versions of the Ubuntu ISO that are running inside AWS, Azure, Oracle, GCP, they are slightly different. They have some things that are required to work in a VPS environment. So differently from the ISO that we just downloaded from the official website for Ubuntu, you see that we didn't have to upgrade the kernel. The kernel was up to date, and here it was not. So you're going to see that there's some differences between the versions, and that's why we, at least for the challenge, we try to check and try out the OSs that are running on the VPSs. For example, I do not recommend using IBM Cloud. I think they changed that a little bit too much, and you could see some things are not really proper for the challenge. So we don't recommend IBM Cloud for that. But it's all okay for AWS, Azure, GCP, Oracle. I didn't see so far anything that would make me believe it's not proper for the challenge. If you guys see anything that should be noted, please let me know. Put it on Reddit or on Discord. Let me know that it's not really getting that point that we do on day X. Doesn't work the same way. Okay, then I'm going to change. So let's restart the session. Yeah, we're back. Ubuntu. And here we go. We good. Yay. So I'm working with this. Let's take a look at our instances. I'm working with this. Let me do something different. You guys want to see working on a Mac? Let me show that. Of course, I'm out. Ta-da. Yes, I know my password will expire in one day. I will change it. Okay. I'm going to launch another instance here. This is going to be potato 2. Create Ubuntu. Same thing. But I'm going to create a new key pair. And I'm going to save this. Where is it? here. Same thing, and launch instance. The widgets. What is the name? I put this a long time ago. This is iStat something. What is the name of this thing? Name of this is iStat something. iStat menus. This is the guy. Yeah, it's interesting when it's just getting hot. Okay, we created another one. And we're going to connect. And why I wanted to show this, because for the other one, you see that we just created the, in Windows, we just created the key pair. We just created the key to the SSH key. And that was okay. And what about this, these instructions? These are required for when you're working on another Linux or on Mac. And we're using OpenSSH. So we have, no. We have here AWS Mac, the .pen key that we just downloaded. And if we look at it, we have that it's quite open. We're going to get through this detail a lot more deeper in days 13 and 14. But what you need to know now is, I don't know why do I need to put this line of command. Just put it. It's going to close it up. And I'm going to show you why that happens. For instance, I'm not going to use this. I'm just going to use the actual IP address. That is possible. Okay, you don't need to use the public DNS. But you have to do something that is quite like this. SSH-I, that is going to indicate what is the ID that I'm using, what is the key. Ubuntu, because that's our username, and the host. That could be just the public DNS or the public IP address. So I'm going to do this. SSH-I. We're using AWS PAM for Ubuntu at this IP address. Okay. And we get an unprotected private key file. The permissions are way too open. So that's why we change from what is looking right here, let's 644. We're going to change to 400 AWS PAM. And we try to use that again. And it's good. Okay, that's the main difference. You have to, we have one more step to deal with the actual key and make it not available for everyone to deal with it. It's too open, everybody can read. See, it's unprotected because we have read permissions for any other person that is not the owner. The owner is going to be this little part here, and this is for the group, and this is for others. But don't need to worry too much about it now. We're going to get through what exactly is this on day 13. Okay, so I'm just giving a quick explanation on what you need to do that. Just do that. All right, so you need to restrict the permissions for the key, for the private key. And here we are. We're inside the server. Okay, that was one server, actually 2 servers in AWS. I did 2 ways because it's one of the most popular, but I know that you guys are going to get excited with DigitalOcean. Firstly, because you can do most of the things there with less than $10, and when you create your account the first time, you're going to receive this $200 credit. So you don't have to be limited by free tier resource. You can do anything you want and spend those $200, whatever you like. Okay, so you guys are good with AWS? Can we move forward? I'm still gonna do a few things there in Windows. All right. Okay, so moving on, or not moving on, if you are done with, when you're done with the challenge or done with your server, I don't want this anymore, I want to create another one, how do I get rid of this? You can just go on, select the server that you want, the instance, go to instance state and terminate instance. And it's going to wipe it out. It's done. And now it's shutting down. Potato 1's shutting down. If I wait a little bit longer, I'm going to see that it's going to be terminated. I'm going to terminate both. I don't really need those. Okay, terminated. Okay, so we can move on to DigitalOcean. So after your first login, you create your account, you have to put your credit card information, unfortunately. And we get to this first project, first default dashboard. From here, you can just go to create droplets, whereas AWS calls their instances EC2. Here on DigitalOcean, they call droplets. You can do this here, or you can just go to droplets and do the same thing. I mean, it's going to be the same. Same green button. Okay, to create a droplet, you see that we have a little bit less options of data center locations. Sometimes some of these are not going to be available or have any troubles. You can see that there is a subsea fiber fault in the Asia Pacific region right now. So I would kind of be aware of that. Always check the status page to know more. But I'm going to create some in New York. is kind of the same time zone as myself, so why not? Okay, so I choose my region. The data center, sometimes you're going to have more options here. I don't have really a preference. It could be anyone. And you see that the first OS here is Ubuntu, and we're going with Ubuntu. Differently from AWS, that we have a bunch of different OSs to choose, including Windows and Red Hat and all that. Here we just have a few Linux options for droplets, but that's what we need. So going with Ubuntu, the version, I do not want the 22.10, I want 22.04 LTS. The type of droplet, I want basic, because I want some shared CPU. You're gonna see that we already have the pricing information here on the bottom and here on CPU options. If we okay, but what is the difference from dedicated CPU? It's the price. It's if you want a dedicated CPU or something optimized or anything like that, it's going to cost you more. I mean, you can do that if you have the money, but to run the challenge, you don't need it. So shared CPU is fine because you're not going to use the entire CPU during the challenge. You don't have that much of a traffic to really require a dedicated CPU. We don't need anything premium. We can go with regular. You see that the pricing is already changing, right? I don't need 8 gigs of memory or 4 CPUs or no, I don't need all that. I can go with less, but I really need 1 gig of CPU, 1 gig of memory. That will really be required for the challenge. Less than that's going to affect a little bit. Your performance is going to be a little bit slow for you. So the second option is the best. 1 gig of memory, 1 CPU, 25 gigs of SSD disk. Fine by me. And this is the part that we can just authenticate directly with password like we did on the local server. But there's not on the local server is fine because we don't have interference and access from other people. But you're out in the open. So an SSH key is kind of recommended. What we can do here, we can create a new SSH key, but it's not going to create for me. Differently from AWS, it's not going to create for me and give me the private key to download. We have to create our key pair ourselves. So I'm going with this option, and I'm going to show you how to create a key pair using PutyGen. So we can just generate a public-private key pair. Let's generate. And here we have to move our mouse to generate some randomness. Creating. And that's it. We just created a new key pair. You see that it just called SSH key, and that's fine. And we can use a key passphrase for this. Let's put a passphrase. It's nice that we have a passphrase in this case. It's not required, but in a production environment, you're most likely than not going to have to use passphrases. And I can save this as a public key. I'm going to call it droplet key. For the public, I'm going to call it also droplet key. for the private. What? Oh yes, let's call it droplet key dot pub as public key. Okay. And I just used the default setup. You see that I used RSA type of is going to be a RSA type of key, and with 248 bits, 2048 bits. We can change this, okay? You can always change this. Okay, I save it. I'm going to, instead of just uploading, we're going to copy this. Okay, copy everything. And here with new SSH key, I could just upload it, but I want to put the SSH key content here. And I'm going to call this droplet. Okay. You see that there is some instructions, but they are not for PuTTY gen. They are for SSH key gen. We can do that as well, okay? So add SSH key. We selected the droplet key. We don't have to put anything like this. This is extra. Let's change the host name. I'm going to call this potato. And create droplet. Creating. Okay, it's done. So, okay, let's take our private IP. And we can open PuTTY again. We're going to use that private IP. And here on connection, SSH, auth, credentials, we're going to put the, where is it? Droplet key. Let's see if it's going to work. Do you guys think it's going to work? It's not done yet. You can see, here. Is it booting up yet? You can check on the console. But this is not as simple as the console. As simple as the console for AWS, okay? Yes, it's not going to work because I'm using the private IP. Duh. Thank you, Will Dog. Okay, let's change that. Okay, this is the public IP. SSH, auth, credentials. Let's take the droplet key and open. Accept. What is our Our little guy, is it Ubuntu? Ah, public key. Refused our key. It was refused. Let me take a look at the key again. Ah, we can change one little thing. Now I uploaded the public key, but this is one particularity from DigitalOcean. You see that the end of our key information we have a comment, and it's just RSA key blah blah blah. We can try that, but I don't like it. Why? Fuse our key. Let me take a look. Okay, we can try to recovery. Let's reset the root path. Ah, it's root. This guy is root. Yep. This guy is root. This is the particularity for DigitalOcean. We are working with root right off the bat. Let me just change this because I don't like this window. So we used root, and that key that we created was for root. Okay, so this is going to be is going to be stored in SSH on the root user directory. See, in SSH, it's going to be authorized keys. That key that we created is this one. Okay, so the moment that we created the instance, we uploaded that public key to the root because that was the only user that we have on this instance. Yeah, that's the only. Okay, and yeah, we only have root. So first thing, we don't have to use sudo here because we already root. So we can use apt update double %, apt upgrade -y. And we are doing the the first thing on the administrative tasks, that is keep our system up to date. Kernel updates. In this case, we need to reboot now. Because we upgraded some things in the kernel. So every time you see any updates to the kernel, reboot it. For anything else, you don't need to reboot it. Like we have our kernel up to date on the local VM, so we didn't have to reboot. Let's see, it's already done. Root. Yeah. Okay, we're done. DigitalOcean is done. So to do the kind of the same thing here for the SSH key pair, let me try to do that as well here on the Mac. So I'm going to create a new one. I'm going to do from the beginning again. Same thing, New York, Ubuntu 2204, basic, regular, $6. And I'm going to a new SSH key for this. And for that, this is an advantage. There is already instructions here. If you're on a Mac or Linux, you can use SSH keygen. But I'm going to do a little bit different because since we're creating new servers all the time, you probably want to create a new key for a new server. You can use one key for several different servers. That's no problem. It's going to work the same way. It's just a good policy. I mean, if some key get compromised, you're not going to compromise all of your servers. That's basically because of that. So I'm going to use SSH keygen, and I can do this interactively. I'm gonna do this interactively. So SSH keygen. So enter the file in which you want to save the key. I want to save in this directory a key that I'm going to call droplet2. I'm going to call it droplet2. I'm going to create a passphrase for that. I'm going to enter the passphrase again. And I just created a RSA key. I didn't put anything different for that. Just created a standard one. Okay, so we created my private key droplet and my public key droplet2 pub. Droplet2 and droplet2 pub. I have them both here. So I have to see the contents of droplet2 pub because that's what I'm going to send to DigitalOcean. Here. No, here. I'm going to put it here. The entire content. And I'm going to call it droplet2. Add SSH key is being used here. And I'm going to call this potato2. Create droplet. See, on the other one, I click it and I got the full summary of the droplet. I don't need to do that if I just want to connect. You see that after it runs and installs everything, it just shows me the public IP address. So I can just copy this and get back here. I'm going to use SSH-I because I'm using a specific key pair. I'm going to use droplet2 to log in as root at this IP address. Do I want this to be added to my known hosts? Yes. And use the passphrase. And here we go. We're inside potato2. So we created, I showed two ways to create key pairs. I showed a way to just connect using PuTTY and to convert a key format with PuTTyGen. So that part of the SSH is kind of covered. There's other ways to do this. We just use it an interactive way to create using keygen, the SSH keygen. But if you're on a Mac, okay, this is for if you're on a Mac using OpenSSH, you can look at the manual for SSH keygen, and it's going to give all the information you need to create everything on one run. I'm going to show more, okay, today. I'm just giving some little bits of spoilers of what's coming next. But yeah, that was it. Where are we? Here. So if you are okay and done with your droplets, you got to the end of the challenge and you want to get rid of them, you can just go here on the three dots and destroy. And it's going to destroy this droplet. You have to put the actual name so it knows that you really want to do this. And it's destroying it. Done. Droplet has been destroyed. You can do that for the first one as well. So I'm going to destroy potato and destroy. Okay, so we did a local server, we did AWS and connecting to AWS using Mac and using Windows. We created on DigitalOcean using Mac and using Windows. We connected using SSH with both options. Next, we're going to see other VPSs, but are we okay? How are you guys feeling? Because it's already 2 hours of streaming, I'm going to just stretch my legs a little bit. And also, it's a good reminder, drink water. Don't forget to get up off the chair and stretch. I'm doing that right now. So I'm taking a quick break. Be right back. So you guys have a chance to take some water, stretch your legs. How are you guys feeling so far? You think you can take on the challenge after that? Nice. Okay. All right, so let's go to Azure. Okay, so in Azure, you're gonna, after you create your account, you logged in, you're gonna have a dashboard like this. It's pretty straightforward. You can just go to virtual machines and you can create an Azure virtual machine. You can just go here or you can go just up here on your upper left and Azure virtual machine. So we don't have to change anything here on from resource group. Is going to take that from our subscription and the virtual machine that we're going to create. So we're going to create potato. You can see that I already used potato a couple times. I'm going to create in the South America region because it's the closest to me and it's okay. Azure thinks that's the best for me, so I'm going with that. Ubuntu 22.04, but if I need to change the image here, I can just go here, open the drop down menu and see all images. And just search for it. Ubuntu. Have quite something. We're going to use Ubuntu. Yeah, it can be minimal. But I already had that on the quick selection, so it is this one. The size, this is the part when you can see how much this is gonna cost. So we can see all sizes. And if you want to just go, I want something that is cheaper, you can just go here on your top right and sort for cost month. You're going to see that B1s are usually the cheapest, but take a look at the RAM. Okay, we have the minimal for the challenge, 1 gig of RAM. Okay, you're going to see a few options into the VPSs that the most the less expensive is going to have just 500 megs, and it's sometimes not really not enough. So go for 1 gig, 1 CPU, and you see that is already selected, so I can use here on the bottom of the page, select. The administrator account, the authentication type is going to be an SSH public key. We can use just Azure user as the username. We can generate a new one. We can upload a new public key, or we can use something that is already on your key store. If you have other VMs, you already have that available. Let's generate a new one. So I'm going to create a key pair called potato key. You see that I didn't type that, it just fill it out for me because my instance is called potato, and so it kind of assumed that it's going to be potato key. Okay. What else we can allow this the SSH for inbound. And we don't need to really go over the disks, networking, management, monitoring. We can just review and create, okay? Oh, there's some things in networking that I need to check. Okay. So, potato IP. What do you know? Yeah, this is new. Okay. Review create. Alright, create. And here the part where, just like AWS, is going to ask you to download the private key. We're going to download potato key here. And it's deploying. And it's creating networks and all that. Hey, Marinero. Marinero. Thanks for the following. Didn't see you guys. Okay, it succeeded. Let's go to the resource. So it's still taking some time to load. How do we connect? You see here on the top right, top left, the instructions to connect. Same idea that we have with AWS. Okay, we're going to have to change the permissions for the key, and we can connect to this guy. So let's go. Okay. We have potato key here. If we look closely, potato key is quite open, so we're going to change that to 400 potato key, and now we can use SSH-I potato key at Azure user at this IP address. We put that in our known hosts, and we're in. So Azure user is not root user, so we have to use sudo apt update $% sudo apt upgrade -y. That's the beginning of it all. So quite simple, right? After you learn about how AWS does stuff and how DigitalOcean does stuff, you're gonna see that the other VPSs are going to fall in the same process of one or the other. Okay, it's done. All right. So again, if I want to, let's get back to overview. If I'm done with this server, the challenge is done, I want to get rid of it, I can go here to delete. And I'm going to delete everything. So it's going to force the delete of any part of that VM that we have around in Azure. So any network interfaces or IP addresses or anything on the disk, I'm going to delete this as well. And let's get back to home. Virtual machines. Running. Let's give it a refresh. I can also do it here, okay? I can just go select it and do the delete from the list. It's deleting a lot of stuff, so it's taking a couple minutes. Yeah, and it's deleted now. So if we refresh, come on, successfully deleting. Yeah, no longer available. Okay, so Azure, quite simple, right? What do you guys think? Good to go? Good to go. So let's create one in Linode. Oops. Linode. Linode is going to be quite similar to DigitalOcean. After you create your account, add your credit card, all that. For Linode, when you create your account, if you use the right code, you can receive $100 to use whatever you like on your first 30 days. So let's create a Linode. Like AWS calls instances or VMs EC2, and DigitalOcean call them droplets. Linode call them nodes or Linodes. So create a Linode distribution that we want. We want Ubuntu 2204 LTS. Region. Could be any region, really. I'm going to put the first one. I'm going to put Atlanta. Linode plan. You see that we already have the pricing here. It's quite easy to see. We don't know dedicated CPU. We want shared CPU. And with shared CPU, we want 1 gig of memory, 1 CPU. And with that, we have Linode 1 gig with costing just $5 monthly. Our Linode label. Let's call it, I don't know. Do I have to put a name here? Yeah, we could put it. Let's put potato again. And like DigitalOcean, you have the chance to put a root password or create a SSH key. The same way that we did for DigitalOcean, if I want to create an SSH key, they're not going to create for me. I have to create it on my own. So I'm going to do that here. I'm going to use the extended version of the keygen. Okay, I'm going to use SSH keygen. The type I want is RSA. Let me just put it here. The type I want is RSA. The bits I want is 4,096. I want a little bit more bits. I want a safer. What else? What else we can use here? The key file is going to be Linode key. Linode key. And I think that's it. Passphrase. No, I'm going to, I wanted to show a little bit more. This is the file, and I'm going to put a comment. I want to provide a comment. I want this to be for Livia at potato. This is just a comment, okay? This is going to be at the very end of your key, but I wanted to put that there. Put the passphrase. Okay, so we created. Now we have Linode key pub and Linode key. Let's take a look at Linode key pub. You see that that comment goes at the very end of my key. I'm going to save that. And I'm going to put it here. And this is my Linode key. Add the key. Okay. Do I need to attach a VLAN or backups or anything else? No. It's going to be only $5 a month. Create Linode. This Linode has one thing. In DigitalOcean, if you don't want to create a password for root, you're okay with that. You can reset the password anytime. Here, Linode wants you to give a password right away. So, okay. I already lost my... Okay, good. Yes, I didn't put it here. Let's see if it was that. It was that? Let me just confirm. Yeah, it does. It does. It does. Okay. And we selected the key. And there's nothing more we need to put in here. And create Linode. Creating. Okay, it's running. So how can we connect to this guy? We can use actually two ways. There is already a console that is much in the liking of the console screen for AWS. We could use this. Actually, let's use it just for a little bit, so you guys can see the options. Yes, I don't have it. Because it's another one. I don't have the public key there. It's okay. We can use directly for the root. And that is going to be that root password that we just created. You see, we are as root. And this guy does not have SSH authorized keys. There's a bunch of other stuff. It's okay. All right. But what else do we have? No, does not have. But I want to use, actually, I want to use my Linode SSH key. Where is it? Can I use it with root? Let's try that. What do you guys think? Is it going to work? It works. So we have here two ways to connect to my root account in this the server. We can connect using the actual password for root, or we can use connecting using our SSH key. Is that nice? Not really. We should have one or the other. One of the things that Linode does, you can just work with password and it's that, just with the root password. But what I'm going to do here, I'm going to block that. So we use only SSH to connect. This is already kind of a sneak peek in day one. So here inside our server, let's take a look at the etc ssh where is it? ssh d config. Take a look at this. SSH agent. Actually, we mostly don't go to SSH agent. We can use SSH copy if you want to copy some the SSH for other users. Let's see what else we can do. Yeah, we can do that. My first goal here is to have as much options as you can to go through the challenge. I mean, how many different VPSs you can use, and know the very basics of SSH to have that accessible. So if you guys can access your VPS with using SSH, I'm good with that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can go more in detail for that on day one. Um, on next week, next Sunday, we can go into more detail with that. So I'm going to, actually, I'm going to take this and just leave it at that. Yeah, but I believe we can cramp it on next week's session. So because it's going to be today, I just wanted to have all of the servers that you can create for the challenge, because the challenge is starting today slash tomorrow, depending on the time zone you're in, and you have the whole week trying to do that. And we're going to go through that on next session. Is that okay for you, Will Dog? Because we're going to have a few more interesting things, especially for day 3, that we can use on day 1 for security. This is a security feature that we can use. Okay, using SSH. Using SSH is already a security good policy, but using SSH agent is one of those little details that we can add for a good security process on accessing things. And we can go through a fail to ban and other key paths, so you have your private keys all secure. We're going to go through that, okay? Is that fine? So I'm not going to really go through this today. I'm going to leave it at that, okay? You got your way with Linode. Good. We're going to learn how to mess with it next week. All right? Not going to get too much information in one sitting. This is going to be too much. All right, so we got Linode. We are able to connect. So let's get back here. And same thing that we do with the others. Apt update double %, apt upgrade -y in the scope, but I think it is interesting to put in there. Okay, we have some kernel. Oh, same thing. You use reboot now for this. Same idea. I'm not going to reboot it because I'm going to get rid of it already. So again, if you want to, you're done with the challenge, you want to terminate your instance, you can go just here and delete, or if you're on the list, you can also go to the 3 dots again and delete. You have to put the label, that is potato, and delete. Simple, simple, and it's done. So GCP, let's go to Google Cloud Provide. If you already have a Gmail account or anything on Google, it's going to be quite simple to create an account in Google Cloud. It's going to use if you're going to use your Google Pay to have the payments to go, but it's the creation of an instance is pretty simple as well. It's the same idea we have with AWS and Azure. Okay, our first dashboard is going to have the option to create a VM, or you can go here to the navigation menu on your upper left, and where is it? We have products. No, it's compute engine. You can see that I don't use GCP a lot, right? Compute engines and VM instances. And it's the same thing, okay? So we're going to create an instance. Can be done here or done here, same thing. Let me give it a name. I'm going to call this potato. You're already giving you the pricing summary. This is going to get down a lot, okay? We can leave the same region, or you can choose a region that is closer to you. You have to be aware that depending on the region, the price is going to change. We want general. This I'm so blind. Machine configuration. We want something that is general purpose. We can just skip here the series, because if you go for the preset type, we can actually see the details. So for a shared core, we're gonna have something that is 1 CPU and 4 gigs of memory. We have a half to 2 CPUs and 2 gigs of memory, or we can have 1 shared core CPU and 1 gig of memory. For standard, we have a lot of other options. For high memory or high CPU, we have other options. We're going with shared core E2 micro. And this is the information that we need. You see that already? Got the price down a lot. Nothing here. Boot disk is the same. We don't have to change, but we have to change the image. By default, it's going to select Debian. We want to change to Ubuntu. We want Ubuntu. And the version we want is 22.04 LTS. What is the difference? There's the built-in data. Okay. Yes, the platform, the architecture is going to run on. So you're going with x86-64. Boot disk, you can leave it at that. If you want to change, fine. Select. We change it here. The free license. Identity. We can, like we did on AWS, we can allow HTTP traffic right from the start. And here in advanced options, we go to security and manage access. Is manage access? Am I doing this right? Yeah, we have, yes, add manually generated SSH keys. It's not as straightforward as AWS or Azure to create a new SSH key. It's going by default, but let's try something different, right? Let's add an item, and I'm going to add SSH key. We can use something that we already created, right? So I'm going to use let's use the Linode one. I'm going to use the same key. You can see that you can use the same key for several different servers. It's not the best way to do it, but you can use it. So we created an SSH key and create instance. So it's creating our potato instance. Okay, it's done. You see that we have here the instructions for connection. Why did I want to put an SSH key that I already created? Because I don't like this browser window SSH supports. But you can use it too. Okay, this is no problem in that. It's going to create a browser. It's going to open the VM like on a VCN. It's taking some time to do that. And it's already in, and I don't really like it because it's using my my account username. Sometimes I don't want that. So what I'm going to use here, I have user another SSH client. It's going to just send me to the documentation. I mean, okay, thanks for the documentation. Let's get inside to see the summary. And I'm going to scroll down to network interfaces. And here we have the primary internal IP address, and here we have the external IP address. That's the one we want. Copy to clipboard. And I'm going to use SSH-I. We use the Linode key, right? And we're connecting as Livia because that's the little comment that I created on that key. Yes. And what is the end key phrase for Linode? And we're here. That's the main difference I see from Google Cloud. I don't think their screen is that self-explanatory. You kind of have to explore a little bit to see where this stuff goes. It's not in your face like other VPSs. And if you create the the SSH key, that comment is important. It's going to use what you put on the comment to create this user. That's the main difference from Google Cloud Provider. So we're here. We can use sudo apt update $% sudo apt upgrade -y. Yeah, nothing really to upgrade. Okay. So that was the main difference. So when you create a SSH key, be aware that you have to put that little comment with the user that you want to create, because it's not going to create a user. It's going to create just a user for the account, which I don't like. You can have multiple users. I don't see that. It's not as easy, I would say. And you have to kind of scroll down to see the stuff. Not the best as well. But okay, if you're going with Google Cloud, you're done with it. You want to terminate the instance. We can go back. Let me see. I have to remember. More actions. Delete. You go 3 dots. Delete. Delete potato. Yeah, delete potato. Okay, it's going, it's going. Instance deleted. Yeah, it's done. Deleted. So, Google Cloud. Good. Done. Let's go to Vultr. So, log into Vultr. Same thing, you create your account. You have to put your credit card information, all that. And right off the bat, you're going to products. It's going to get you to products anyway. You can deploy a server, or you can just go to the plus sign and deploy a server. It's the same thing. You're going to deploy an instance. We don't want optimized. We want something that is shared CPU. Take a look. Dedicated CPU and shared CPU. We have even some NVIDIA CPUs there, GPUs. So, okay. And bare metal, this is expensive, right? So let's go with cloud compute with shared CPU. The options we have: high performance, high frequency. We don't need all that. It's just a test server, so regular performance is fine. The server location, I'm going to just leave it in New York, but you can choose anything that is closer to you. Actually, I can put in São Paulo. It's going to be a little bit cheaper. I'm going to put in São Paulo. Operating systems. We want Ubuntu. 2204. I already have 2304. They're up to date. Server size. 1 CPU, 1 gig of memory, 7.50. $7.50 month. Sounds okay for me. You see that anything that we're going to change in here can change this pricing summary, and you can create more than one VM at the same time with the same setup, but I just want one. Auto backups. No, I don't want it. Disable auto backups, and already cut off some of the price. Okay. I don't need IPv6 as well. And here I already have a couple of keys in Vultr, but I'm going to add a new key. We can do the same thing. We can add that key that we used before for Linode. or we can create another one. And I'm going to call this Vultr. So I added a key. You have to take a look because it's kind of nasty. It wants you to really do the auto backups. Come on, I don't want it. And I'm using Vultr key. And I selected. Remember to have it selected, okay? Server host name, I'm going to call it potato. That's the label, and I'm going to deploy. So installing. Okay, it's running. Let's click on it. Please note your server may still be finished installing, so be patient a little bit. The IP address is here. You already got me a default root default root password here, but I'm going to use the IP address. This is the public IP address, and I'm going to, let's see, is it for the root or yeah, SSH. Oh, not again. SSH dash I. I'm going to use that Linode key with Livia and this. It's still booting. It takes a little bit. One way to know if it's already done is to ping it. Yeah, it should be done by now. No, it's not finishing. It's okay. It's okay. Let's give it a... No, not restart. Ah, there is a console here if you want to see how it's going. You see? It is still going. So, no need to be... so excited. You can wait a little bit, right? Okay, I believe we should good to go already. Yes, we are. No, it's not Livia. It's root. Yes. Okay. So we don't need to use sudo because we are root. You see that Vultr is pretty much like DigitalOcean. We just started with root account. So we're going to do the same here. apt update %, apt upgrade -y. So I'm going to do this every time to really be stuck in your head that you have to do apt update, apt upgrade when you create your new server. Just, I'm going to hunt you with that. All right, so we are done with Vultr. Can close this window out. And if we're done, we don't need to do anything else with our server. We can just go here and server destroy on your upper right on the screen. We can just destroy it. Yes, destroy the server, destroy server. And it's done. It's been terminated. Vultr is good. So let's go to the last one. Oracle. Oracle was not in our lists. Yeah. No. But I'm going to add this for this month. A few people have noted that is a good VPS. And it's really on the same level as AWS and Azure or what we want. I think the only thing that I would like to note about Oracle is that it looks a lot more production. It gives me some production flashbacks here. Is have a kind of an enterprise feel to it. So some people are not going to like that much, but it is okay. So after you created your account with Oracle Cloud, is cloud.oracle.com. In terms of enterprise feeling, yeah, I found Oracle a lot more enterprise vibes from their dashboards and all that than Azure. Azure is not as easy to work with as I believe. No. I'm going to reiterate that Azure and AWS are pretty similar. I mean, you can learn one and go to the other with no problem. Yeah, enterprise vibe. I mean, they're all being used in an enterprise, but it's more like I don't know. I have some trauma for corporate, so that's probably it. But yeah, it does have some enterprise vibes. I mean, it's not pretty. It doesn't have a lot of icons and things that are colorful or anything like that. It's pretty bland, I think. But it doesn't have to be colorful to be good. So I'm not going to have an entire review on Oracle Cloud because I didn't use that much of it to form an opinion. But for the challenge, it works well. So I'm going with that. Yeah, enterprise vibes. So you created our account. You have this get started dashboard, anything like that. You can go here and try to find the compute part, but if it's not pinned yet, you can just go here to your upper left for the menu, go to compute and instances. Okay, I don't have any instance yet. I'm going to, and I can give any name here. I'm going to name potato because that's my vibe today. We don't have to think of anything like it's going to create in the default compartment that we already have when you create your account. The placement is going to be for the closest data center to you. So my closest data center is São Paulo. We can just keep that security, and we're going to image and shape. Everybody wants to use a different word for instance, but okay, AWS uses EC2, uh, Azure is still VM or VM instance. DigitalOcean likes droplets, Linode likes nodes or Linodes, and here we have shapes. So we're going to change the image because we're not going to use Oracle Linux. We're going to use Ubuntu. And it's going to be Ubuntu 22.04. And select image. We change to canonical Ubuntu 22.04. And the shape, we're going to change that. You can already see here on the summary on your bottom right. It's quite, this is in Brazilian reais, okay? So don't be that surprised by the price. This is not in US dollars. This is in Brazilian reais. I'm going to change the shape. No bare metal, please. I'm going to with a virtual machine. And instead of just changing the shape series for AMD or Intel or Ampere, I'm going with specialty in previous generations. And I'm going with the only always free eligible. It means that you can use this at any time, any point in time, if you have or not a code for credits in Oracle Cloud. When we create it, you can have, I believe, $300 for 30 days or 60 days. But if you're already on a billable account, you will still have options that are always free eligible. So I'm going with always free eligible because it is one CPU. It is one CPU and 1 gig of memory. So it's everything I need. Select shape. And now it's a lot cheaper. Networking, I'm not going to change anything. It's going to be filled out automatically for you. And here the SSH keys. This is the one of the interesting things about Oracle. It does have all of the options for you. So we can generate a new key pair. You can upload a public key. You can just paste the public key like we did for Linode and DigitalOcean. Or no SSH keys at all. But I'm going to generate a key pair, okay? I'm going to go with this route. So it already kind of generated, so I'm going to save my private key. And I'm going to call it Oracle Potato. And I'm going to save the public key as well, just because I want it. I don't have to. And this is going to be pub. Okay, I saved my keys. Nothing changed on the boot volume, and create. This is the part when I say that is kind of give me enterprise vibes. This is not exactly a pretty screen or anything like that. If you don't know where to look for stuff, you're going to get a little bit lost. So still creating the instance. Here is in progress. And it's going, and it's done. So we have here I'm going to get this a little bit better. To connect, this is my public IP address. You have the instant access. How can I connect? It gives me the username is Ubuntu, and my public IP address is this one. So I'm going to copy that. And like we did for all of the others, we're going to use SSH-I Oracle Potato key, and is Ubuntu at the public IP address. And it's not done yet. We're going into hot. And this guy also have one of those console, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, we had to launch a Cloud Shell. Let's see if we can see. Let's see. Ooh. I'm here just showing you guys the good stuff. Yes, creating the console. Let's see if it's good to go. Yeah, it's good to go. What did we forgot to do? What we forgot to do? You see that it doesn't really give you any instructions. You go with it. We have documentation here, but yeah, you know what to do. But okay, let's see. Change mod 400 for Oracle Potato key. And now we can go in. So Ubuntu, do sudo apt update $% sudo apt upgrade -y and that's it. You see that it does upgrade a lot of things that are Oracle related. and all the packets are being pulled from Oracle mirrors. So that is the thing with VPSs, with VMs in the cloud. They have their own way of doing things. Especially the big VPSs like AWS, Azure, GCP, and Oracle. They are going to have some of their own brand on anything. Whereas the smaller ones like DigitalOcean, Linode, and Vultr, they are not going to be as much interfering with how this system is or how to do things inside the system. You have a little bit more freedom to use the packets that you want. Come on, come on. Yeah, some kernel. No, don't restart SSH. And we're done. So we have here Oracle Cloud. Oh, good. Can close this. Yeah. So we're done with this. We want to terminate our instance. We don't need to run it anymore. It's literally the only red button in your screen. Terminate. You want to terminate it? Yes, terminate instant. And if we go on the instance details, the list, like instance, the list, it's terminating. It was on the details as well, just down there. Here on the, no, not the metrics. Oh yeah. Work. Work requests. Yeah. System logs, quick actions. Yeah. Mm. Host management. Custom log, console history. I'm just exploring here. Okay, it's terminated. All right, so we covered local. We covered a local VM using VirtualBox. We did AWS, and we connected to AWS using PuTTY on Windows and OpenSSH on a Mac. We also did that with DigitalOcean. We created also on Azure, Linode, Google Cloud Provider, Vultr, and Oracle Cloud. We got a lot covered today. Any other stuff that you guys want to see? This should be enough to create your first instance, your first Linux server to start the challenge. So if you don't have any questions or anything like that, I'm looking at the chats. Chat, if you have anything that you want to ask for this little end of the session, that's okay. If not, we're going to see each other again next Sunday. And we're going to cover the first week of the Linux Upskill Challenge from day 1 to day 5. I guess we can do that in one day. No problem. And I'll see you guys there. Hope you have a really wonderful Sunday, rest of the Sunday for you. And see you guys.